Hello everyone, and thanks for tuning in for the first video in my video tutorial series about making 2D games using the Unity development environment. Today we are going to start developing the game Pong. For those of you that do not know Pong, Pong is basically a game that is made up of two players, each controlling a paddle, trying to deflect a ball and prevent it from going over their paddle to the wall behind them, and obviously make it get to the other wall behind the other player to score a point. It's one of the first games ever made, if not the first one, and we're going to start making it today. What we're going to start off with is making the graphics, as every game has graphics, because, well, if you play something you can see, it's kind of not really a video game, is it? So you can make those graphics in any program, any image editing program you have. You can even use the default Windows Paint. I personally prefer using paint.net as it is a little more advanced than Paint, but not as complex as Photoshop and the like. So open up your favorite image editing software and try and make. As I said, I also prefer this program because I can actually determine the size of the canvas which I'm drawing on. So try and make a decent sized paddle. I'm going to make mine about 80 pixels wide and let's say 300. I think that'll be good. 300 pixels high. It's a bit wide, but we'll make do. Maybe, you know what, let's resize it maybe. Let's resize it. Let's make it like, I don't know, 70. Yeah, seems good enough. So just fill it in with any color you like blue. You can also make a border, draw a border around it just to kind of make it look nicer. Oops, sorry. Never mind. Actually, no. You can forget about the border. Just save it in your project project library directory. Call it paddle. We'll be using that later. Now we're going to make a new one, a new canvas. This one's for the ball. So let's do this. Give it another color. I don't know. Let's go for orange. No, wanted to make round shape. Let's do it like this. Pretty good. Fill it up. Okay. Now something very important, and as I said, it's again a good reason to use this program or more advanced programs than Paint, is that we have to create a round shape with no background. But what's going on right now is that our image editing software is referring to this shape as rectangular because these areas, the white ones, are still here. They're colored white. So what we're going to do in Paint.net is pick them with the Magic Wand tool and just click delete. So what you can see right now is that the background is made up of white and gray rectangulars. What it actually means in many image editing softwares is that the background is transparent, but they can't really show it in any other way. So it's kind of an agreed upon pattern to show this. So let's save this, call it ball. And last but not least, we're going to create our background. So what we want right now is to create a very large background. The reason is because is that we are going to we're going to cater to many different sizes of screens, and we want this to be as big as possible, but not too big, because I'd say that the most common screen resolution today is Full HD, which is around 1920 pixels over 1080, if I remember correctly, maybe 1280. I always forget. And what I did is just make my canvas bigger than that. I put it around 2200 over 1650. Much bigger, just in case anyone really wants to have a very large resolution, a very high resolution. So I just colored this whole thing black using the bucket tool. I'm going to save it as BG. Now we have all our graphics. What we're going to do now is import them into the Unity working environment, development environment, as assets, as I showed in my earlier video, the introduction video. If you haven't watched it and you don't know what I'm talking about, this is a good point to pause this video and go watch that video before we go on, just so you know what I'm talking about. So let's go on. I'm going to import a new asset. I'll just pick the paddle, import each one of them, BG, and that ball. Okay, so we have all our graphics. We're currently ready to just start develop our Pong game. So what we're going to do right now is just pick the BG and drag it in. As you can see, it just appears here. It's a very good system that they've got going on around here in Unity. It's very easy to use. Make sure you position it, zero it out the X and Y positions in the inspector, so we're centered. So right now, what we want to do is make sure our background stays put when we I don't know, do stuff with everything else around here and doesn't move. So what we're going to do is pick the background and go go to sorting layers, and I already added the background layer here, but what you're going to do is click add layer, click on the little plus sign here, call this layer background, and because we want it to be the lowest layer in our game, in our working process, we're going to pull it above the default layer. This is just how Unity works. I don't really know why they did it, but I bet they have a very, very good reason. I'm sorry. So, okay, that's what we're going to do now. And now we picked the BG again, we're going to pick the sorting layer as background. Okay, so this is kind of it. Another thing we want to do is I'm sorry, this is the wrong button. Well, what we want to do now is just position our graphic assets on the kind of play field, where the players are going to play. Go ahead and drag the paddle twice in here. Just make sure that you take one of them and name it paddle 2, because We don't want them to be named exactly the same, or we won't be able to really differentiate between them. So this is actually the basic setup of for making the game. We have our background players and our ball. We have made sure that the background is actually in the back. And this concludes our current video. We will start playing around with the players and initial game setup in the next video. Thanks again for tuning in, and see you next time.